Hey guys, welcome back to Rossoneri TV. I'm Gio and I'm here for yet another AC Milan news recap. As always, recapping the latest news and rumors that happened throughout the week. And of course, it's been another very busy week. This one with players potentially being linked to the club. We also saw De Gea leaving to Juventus, as I mentioned it a few days ago. And also Bonucci and Bia were officially announced as Milan players, even though we already knew that from last week. But I want to start off today's video with, first of all, thanking you guys for the overwhelming amount of messages, birthday wishes that I received on Twitter earlier this morning. Always really appreciate these messages, and thank you guys for supporting me in everything we do here on Rossoneri TV on a daily basis. And without a doubt, the best birthday gift that I probably could have got was today's Milan's 4-0 win against Bayern Munich. A beautiful match. Didn't see all of it, but I saw a good portion of it, and from what I saw, I was very impressed with the new players and just how the team was able to gel together. Really, it was something that personally I could just see the fluidity and the brains that Milan kind of plays with now. In comparison to other games or like past season, I saw Milan making less mistakes. Just the fluidity of the ball movement, moving the ball back and forth, and creating chances in general was much better. And like I said several times already over the past weeks, my hopes for this new season are very high. I really like how Milan is getting all these players, and I think they're integrating into the squad quite quickly, rather than what many people were thinking, that it will take a lot of time to set them together, to build that chemistry. So I'm very happy about this. Very happy because we already have a very crucial match next week, the third qualifying round, of course, of the Europa League against Craiova. That will be the first leg being played on July 27th and the second leg on August the 3rd. So it is important to go into these games, even though they are not the biggest of opponents in the Europa League. It's important to prepare well for these games because we want to avoid any surprises and want to make sure that we do participate in the Europa League group stages this season. So like I said, I was very impressed with how the team played, especially with the new arrivals. First of all, the goals were scored by Kessie, Calhanoglu, and of course 2 by Patrick Cutrone. And a lot of questions are being raised at the moment regarding Patrick Cutrone. Is he a player that Montella needs for the team this season? Is he a player that could very well come off the bench and make the difference? Is he ready to step into the senior squad and actually have a positive impact throughout the whole season? My answer to this is possibly yes. He scored 2 goals in 45 minutes today against Bayern Munich, a very world-class European side, and I think he's ready for that step up. I think he's ready to, you know, participate in the team's activities and actually perform, maybe not week in and week out, but on a consistent basis, you know, at least in this Milan team. So personally, I would give him a chance. This does obviously not rule out the possibility of other strikers coming into the team, and that is why I will be speaking exactly about this at the moment. First of all, it seems that several sources are mentioning actually that Milan have reached an agreement with Fiorentina regarding Kalinic at 26 million euros. Of course, nothing is official just yet. We are still awaiting for an official confirmation from both of these clubs, and I think they're still in the talks at the moment. I don't think there's really any final agreement made just yet, but after Morata went to Chelsea, the options are obviously decreasing, with now Kalinic, Belotti, and Aubameyang being the main options that are left in terms of choosing that striker. Let's not rule out, however, the possibility of a Mr. X. Like Mirabelli and Fassone said several times, there might be a surprise signing that really hasn't been mentioned in the news, in the reports as of recent. So obviously we have seen many surprises in these past few weeks, especially with the Bonucci one. So, you know, when you least expect it, that's when Milan might make one of those signings that, you know, many people weren't thinking of or weren't even wasn't even clear in their bright minds, and out of nowhere, Milan might have just signed that player. So that is what we know about Kalinic. And of course, even if he arrives, this might not rule out a potential other striker coming in, because Kalinic, of course, he has that Serie A experience with Fiorentina, but I think we need someone with a higher caliber than him at the club. And personally, 26 million euros I think is a bit too much for a guy that's reaching his 30s. I would prefer to spend this money, or even a bit more, on someone that's worthy, that we could keep for a very long time and could have a bright future at Milan. I'm not saying that Kalinic will not have a bright future at Milan, but for that amount of money, I will definitely invest it elsewhere. Of course, Bacca and Yang are the likely candidates to leave Milan this summer. Bacca, he has been linked to Marseille, and Yang, he has been recently linked to Fiorentina. Now, we haven't really heard any confirmations of them moving officially to these clubs, but these are the clubs that these players have recently been linked to. Now, speaking about Belotti, another of those options that I was mentioning in terms of the attack, there were reports of him telling the Torino president that he wants to leave, that he prefers to join Milan, and Cairo, the Torino president, came out and said that he's not going to consider any offer below 100 million for Belotti to leave, especially to a club in Italy. And of course, if you guys recall, Torino did place a buyout clause on the player of 100 million euros for clubs outside of Italy. So I'm not really sure why this is also applying to Italian clubs at the moment, from what the Torino president is saying. But in my opinion, he's just mentioning this because he doesn't want to lose the player at all costs. But I'm pretty sure if a very good offer arrives around 80 million, he will have no choice but to sell him, because I think Torino could do a very good transfer campaign with that amount of money. So I think he wouldn't automatically say no to that. Also, for Aubameyang, another player that we've been linked to for several weeks, yesterday or a few days ago, it was reported that the player was not going to renew with Dortmund, even though he has a contract until 2020, which is kind of absurd to me. Why would he even think of this at the moment if he still has 2 years left? Maybe it's just paper talk. I don't know what it is, but apparently he is waiting for Milan to make the effort to sign him, and it's going to be an economic effort, of course, because Dortmund want a lot of millions, 70 million, 80 million, something around that range. Money that, could very well be spent on Belotti. And I've actually asked this question on Twitter during the past week: who would you guys prefer to sign? And the answers were so mixed. There was never a player leading the race in this sort of poll that I took, and I think a lot of people are split on this decision of who they would prefer, either Aubameyang and Belotti. But getting back to Aubameyang, like I was saying, he's waiting for Milan, but then Dortmund, I was reading yesterday on their Twitter that they were mentioning to the fans that they are in no talks at all with any club concerning a possible sale of the player. So that's another interesting dilemma to this whole situation. But I think we will find out more about Belotti or Aubameyang this week or the week after, because Aubameyang, apparently he had this ultimatum of July 26th. That was like the last day that teams could potentially negotiate with Dortmund for the player. I'm not sure if this date still applies, but like I said, in the next 2 weeks, we should definitely find out who, if any of these two players, will come to Milan. Also, last weekend, I spoke about Renato Sanchez, another player that Mirabelli and Fassone strongly want, and apparently they're ready to submit a new bid for the player worth about 7 to 8 million euros. That is for a 2-year loan, and afterwards they will have to pay a 30 million euro obligation fee for the buyout clause. And this, I think, is a very good deal. If I was Bayern, I would probably take this. Yes, Renato Sanchez could become a world-class player, and maybe 30 million euros would not justify the price in the future. But at the moment, he's a player that both Ancelotti, the Bayern Munich coach, and I believe even the CEO said it of Bayern Munich, that he simply won't be getting enough playing time this season, and they all know that. So I think this 2-year loan that Milan is proposing for 7 to 8 million euros cannot really go wrong at all for Bayern Munich. But of course, Milan wants to insert this obligation to buy clause, and if he does perform very well with Milan within these 2 years, and Bayern don't have really the choice but to sell him to Milan, then that's where problems might occur for Bayern Munich. But personally, I think this is a very good option, not only for Bayern Munich, but also for the player to get playing time, to be part of a very interesting project, and hopefully, develop his skills and abilities with a club that you will actually get a lot of more playing time. Finally, Vanjoni might be on his way to Monterrey. Actually, he will be on his way because it has been confirmed by the club themselves. Apparently, he will be joining them on a 3-year contract. Simply speaking, Vanjoni was not going to get much playing time this season with the arrival of Ricardo Rodriguez and Antonelli there on the left side. I personally don't think that Vanjoni was going to see the pitch very much. So this is a very good option for him, going to Mexico, playing there. I think he's going to be getting playing time. Yes, maybe it wasn't his dream to go back there. He possibly wanted to become this new sensation, this new European sensation. Everyone's dream really to go to Europe and play. But when you go into a club like Milan, you better be on top levels, because if you're not, you will quickly find the back door and they will send you out. And that's exactly what it is, Milan bought a guy like Ricardo Rodriguez now. They have Antonelli, which is also a very solid option. And Vanjoni is not going to get any playing time, so why waste his time on the bench? And even there, Milan have to get rid of certain players. They have to shrink that roster size. With all these arrivals coming in, they also have a lot of departures that they need to take care of. And Vanjoni is simply another one there, with Poli, Bertolacci, Lapadula, De Sciglio, just to name a few, that would also be leaving this summer. So that's going to wrap it up for the news of the week. Pretty much I recapped everything that I wanted to speak about. And like I said, next week there is a very important encounter against Craiova, the Romanian club, and that game will be official for the third qualifying round of the Europa League. So expect multiple videos next week. Of course, we will be having our very first match preview of the new season, followed by a match review on Thursday. And of course, next weekend we will definitely have, once again, an AC Milan news recap. Now let's get into your comments and let's see what you guys have to say regarding all of these talks, all of these news. There's also something that I forgot to mention, and I just read it like minutes before going live. And I think it was Mira Bailey mentioning it, that Milan have already sold 5,000 season tickets in the matter of 4 days, which is absolutely amazing and astonishing to see this, because, well, first of all, I could understand how the fans are very, very happy to see all of these new arrivals come to the game, to the team, and perform for Milan in these upcoming seasons. But if you take a look at the previous seasons where Milan simply wasn't capable of selling season tickets, and now they sold 5,000 in a matter of 4 days, and they're expecting 40 to 45,000 season tickets to be sold with all these new arrivals, or at least 35. This is definitely going to fill up the San Siro. The San Siro, of course, being rather empty in recent years for various reasons. But I'm very, very happy that the fans are once again believing in this new project. And I think this will reflect on the team's performances as well, because every time we play home matches, we will need the support of the home crowd. So very happy to read these news, and hopefully Milan will continue selling as much as they are doing at the moment. So let's get into your questions. The Milanese says Belotti scored 28 goals for a mid-table team at a club like Milan. He could get up to 40. If you wait until next year to get him, big teams will just activate the release clause for him. I think you're right. I don't know if he's going to score 40 goals, but he will definitely get a very good amount of goals at Milan. I think at the moment, it's just the Torino president being the problem. I think Milan could pay the 100 million for Belotti, but it just seems that Torino's president doesn't want to get rid of him at all costs, and that's why he's even saying that teams in Italy must pay 100 million euros, because frankly speaking, not many teams in Italy could pay that amount of money. Possibly only Juventus and Milan could pay that, and I don't think he will ever be sold to Juventus just because they are city rivals. So really the only team that could pay that, I believe at least in Italy, is Milan. And at the moment, it's either Milan spend 100 million on Belotti right away, or they don't spend anything. And actually keep that money to invest it on different players rather than just on one shot. By the way, we just got a donation from David. Thank you so much, David. Thank you for tuning in every week to our channel. Very much appreciate that. And it's going to be a mess tonight. It's going to be a real mess. Omar says, Gio, who do you think might be the Mr. X? That's a very tricky question, you know. People were mentioning Diego Costa several times, but that option is definitely ruled out. He will not be joining Milan, at least that's what the latest reports are saying. I don't know, it could definitely be anyone. Like I said before, the Bonucci arrival was so unexpected. When I first read the rumors, the whole thing, first of all, happened in two days. So when I first read the rumors, I was very, very shocked to even read that, and I personally didn't even believe it. And then in a matter of 48 hours, maybe even less, Bonucci became a Milan player. This is the type of unpredictability that Milan really has at the moment. Whereas in previous transfer windows, especially during the summer transfer windows, Milan, the names they were linked to were so evident. They were always spoken about in the newspapers. Everyone knew the type of players that Milan was going after. Where now, Mirabelli and Fassone are really working under the table. They're not really talking much regarding possible names that they could go after. And that's why they are making, personally, I believe, these types of steals rather than, you know, just announcing it to the public. So, yeah. Who knows? I'm definitely not sure who that Mr. X could be, but it could be anyone. Jamie says, will you buy a Milan jersey this year? And if yes, I missed the rest of your comment there. And if yes, whose name would you get in the back? I will definitely be buying the new Milan jersey. As for the name, I've actually answered this in the past. I'm not a fan of having a name in the back simply because players come and go, and I like to keep my jersey simple. So probably I'll be getting the home jersey just with no name. Simple and plain, just like that. I prefer having no name in the back rather than someone else that could potentially leave. Omar says, do you think AC Milan TV will be open to everyone? Now, Milan TV, if you guys don't know, is the official TV channel of AC Milan, and they are only operating in Italy at the moment under subscription. It's something that I've been asking them to hopefully open it to everyone, to make it available to everyone, because Milan has a lot of millions of fans around the world that would love to watch the content that Milan TV proposes to their fans in Italy. So, you know, if it's an option, I would definitely love it. I will even pay for a subscription for that because they show a lot of exclusive things, graphics, which I really like. So, hopefully one day Milan TV will be open to the public. Even if it's for a subscription, I would definitely pay for it. I think all these media-related things are all in the works. Like I said, it is a new management. Slowly, they're trying to expand the brand as much as possible, and maybe eventually we will be getting this platform as well. Bear says, can you do a full predictions video for the Serie A table 2017-2018? I don't think it will very much relate to Milan, to be honest, to do a prediction table for the entire Serie A, but maybe you should propose this to IFTV, Italian Football TV. They will definitely do something like this this summer, in my opinion. But if you guys haven't watched Damo's video on IFTV where he spoke about Milan's possible formations and so forth, do it, because it's a very interesting video. And he will also be making one for Rossoneri TV in a couple of weeks when we get closer to the start of the Serie A season. As you know, we will be having a fuller team. I guess we'll actually know the exact players that will be at the club, so we could actually have a video talking about the different formations that we could see. So stay tuned for that. That will be coming out in a few weeks. Nikesh says, Joe, what position do you think Milan will achieve this season? I hope that we get a top 3 position. The Scudetto is definitely something that's going to be very challenging, but if there's one season that I believe will be the most challenging for Juventus, will be this one. So many teams reinforcing themselves. Napoli, Roma, Milan, Inter might even give them a fight. I think that this season will actually be much, much closer than previous seasons. Even though, you know, Juventus got rid of Bonucci, they got guys like De Sciglio. I know he's not very loved by many people, but he's still an option that I think he maybe might rejuvenate with them. And also Bernardeschi officially becoming a Juventus player. I think it's a big signing for them. So we'll have to see, but I think it's going to be a lot more tighter than what we have seen in recent seasons. RK Gosh says, Joe, you heard about Harry Kane to Milan and Suso to Spurs? I haven't heard of that, but personally I don't think it's very true. Any updates on Suso? A lot of people are asking me if we have any updates on Suso. Suso, he has received a lot of offers in these past few weeks from clubs all over Europe, Germany, England, you name it, but simply both the player and the club have deemed them unsellable. So he will not be moving to any club. At least that's what Milan is saying at the moment, and personally I believe that Suso will not be moving. I think he's going to have a fixed role in the squad now, especially when Milan play the 4-3-3. Not that he hasn't had it in the past few seasons, but you know, I think that Suso will finally become a player that, you know, will have a fixed spot, a big responsibility in the club. That's why he's sure that he wants to continue at Milan, and also Borini could be his replacement. Finally, we'll have a sub. Kovacs Adam says, Gio, can Bonucci participate in the Europa League match against Craiova? Yes, I don't see why he wouldn't be able to. Animax Gold says, Thiago Silva said he wants Milan to win the Scudetto. Well, who else would he want them to win it? So, yeah, definitely he would want Milan to win it. He's still a Milan fan, and he said one day he hopes to return. Giuliano says, do you think Romagnoli or Musacchio will be a starter? I think Romagnoli will be a starter more than Musacchio, and whoever it is, I'm happy that we have 3 solid center backs finally: Romagnoli, Musacchio, and Bonucci. We could even rotate a bit within games, as there will be weeks where we will be playing 3 times a week. How do I feel about a 3-man defense with Bonucci, Musacchio, and Romagnoli? I think it's okay. It's not the best option. I would prefer going with 4 in the back with Rodriguez. 2 out of the 3 between Musacchio, Romagnoli, and Bonucci, and Conti on the right side. That's what I would prefer. But a 3-5-2 might be an option within game. And that's something that I was saying last week. You know, with the amount of arrivals at this club, we have so many formations and different lineups that we could field at any time during games, which will make us less predictable. And to me, that was one of the major problems last season. We were way too predictable. We were always using the same lineup, the same formation up until maybe the last 10 games or something. And we were just becoming way too predictable, always using those wings, and teams figured us out so fast. So now that we are able to use more formations, different players, different lineups, I think that this will definitely help the cause. And at the same time, yes, Milan will have to build chemistry within these formations, but I think it shouldn't be a problem, and I think Milan will have many more threats using these types of things rather than in the past, where they always add a one-dimension type of vision and not really think about alternating things around the team. Mark Job says, I think Coutone could be a good option as a third or fourth striker. Definitely. That's why I would definitely keep him at the club. Coutone, that is. I think he's capable of you know, having a good season, even if he doesn't play many games. I think that him being in the senior squad and being capable of scoring goals, like we saw against Bayern Munich, 2 goals today, you know, I think that speaks volumes of what he's capable of doing. So I don't see why he shouldn't be staying at the club. A few more questions before I sign off. RK Gosh says, you saw Rodriguez assist to Coutone earlier today. He done more in one game for Milan than Deschio done in his whole Milan career. Well, what a surprise, right? We had guys that couldn't cross the ball to 2 guys that are specialists in crossing, Ricardo Rodriguez and Conti, 2 players that know how to go up very well and put the ball in a very, very good place. And we saw that exactly with Rodriguez today. What a delivery. And, you know, we were aware of his capabilities and what he's capable of doing with the ball, especially from dead ball situations. And today he proved it again. So I think we will, like I said, we will have a lot more threats than what we had in previous seasons. With all these new additions, bringing different attributes to the team, rather than just having one type of player. Maybe one last question here. The Milanese says, Gio, after watching Coutone score a brace against the mighty Bayern, did you ever think why he didn't get a chance last year when both Bacca and Lapadula were shit? Well, like I said many times last year, Coutone, the reason why he wasn't getting much playing time was simply a decision that Montella made. I don't know why he did it, but I think he just wanted to see what he could have got out of Bacca and Lapadula up until the final game to decide whether he wanted one or neither of them. And at the moment, like Montella said himself, Bacca didn't play today and he will not be playing on Thursday as well, mainly for the reason that he will be on his way out. He's leaving guaranteed. It's a matter of time, weeks maybe, to find the proper team that could buy him, and he's capable of joining. So he's on his way out, Lapadula's on his way out, and this should definitely open up some room for Coutone. Like I said before, even as a third, fourth choice striker, I think he's capable of getting a few goals under his belt this season if he does get the chance. So I think that's going to wrap it up, guys, for today's AC Milan news recap. Thank you all for joining me today. Thank you once again for all the birthday wishes. Like I said, great support on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, whether it's on Twitter, on the channel itself. You guys always show your support for this channel. And if you haven't yet subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channel and like the video. Before I leave, as usual, I do one final shout out to my friends that are watching in Italy. Today they are coming from Molfetta, and I want to give a quick shout out to Davide Scatola Calda, and of course Elias Penerico. So hopefully these guys will be joining me very, very soon on the channel. And like I said last week, expect them to make an appearance very, very soon. On that note, guys, thank you once again. This has been Gio, signing off from Rossoneri TV. And as always, Forza Milan.